will find a solace there. Amen.
Morning. Good to be here this morning. Good to be invited to come and share the work of worldwide literature and missionary supplies. It's a bit of a mouthful, but my name is Joel Campbell. I'm from Hamburg, Arkansas, here with my wife, Hannah, and we're going to tell you a little bit about what we do. And I told Brother Mike Raines when he was texting me that I got a devotion, but it ain't going to last long. I'm not a public speaker, and I haven't felt any sort of call to preaching or pastoring, anything like that, just a call to this ministry. So if you will, bear with me. But yeah, let's get into the slideshow. We're from Hamburg. It's about 6.5 hour drive. It's not too bad. Go on to the next slide. I ain't got to memorize. I'm going to have to look back. Our purpose is to help churches and mission points around the world. It says worldwide literature and missionary supplies. So we started out sending literature. I'll go into a little bit about that. But anything that they need that we can put in a container or crate or anything, we'll ship to them. Well, that's really what we do. We're freight forwarders. We're sort of the guy in between. On this next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about us. Six continents and hundreds of shipments and just a lot of stuff. The Lord has blessed us to be able to ship a lot of things to a lot of people in a lot of places over the years. So if we'll go to the next slide, tell you a little bit more history. He did the day-to-day, all the scheduling, all the inventorying. In the office was just him. And the Lord called me to this ministry in 2018, and I worked with him for 3.5 years, trying to absorb everything that he knew, which he learned the hard way because he was a preacher. He pastored for many years until then, and not really into the shipping industry, and just felt the calling to this and learned the hard way. And I've had the privilege to not have to learn the hard way. I learned from his hard way. So Lord's blessed us. And in 2022, which is this year, at the beginning of this year, he started pastoring part-time a small church about 30-40 miles north of Hamburg. He decided to step back completely from the ministry last year, at the end of last year. And he's been interim there at that church for a long time, and they decided to call him as part-time pastor. So now he has time to take care of my grandmother, who has pretty much been on chemo my whole life. She has non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and lung cancer, and that takes a lot out of her and a lot of time for my grandfather. And so that honestly, caring for her took a lot of his time away from the ministry, and that's sort of how that started me in the talks of coming over and joining. So now he can take care of her, but he's still serving the Lord, and the Lord's opened doors for him. On this next slide, you'll see me with a little bit shorter hair. She got a degree in plant science, and I got a degree in digital cinematography, so videos or film or whatever. That's what we went to school for. And you may be thinking, why, if you got a degree in film, why are you shipping stuff now? Well, God works how He works, and so I can't answer that one. Actually, I can. I can answer that. God called me here. That's the answer. Um, we've been serving here at the ministry in Calvary since then, and hope to be here a long, long time. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to say we did this and we did that, even though this ministry started when I was born. For most of it, I was a child. I'm going to say we because I grew up in Calvary, and like I said, my grandfather started this ministry, so I felt very close and attached to the ministry. So we'll go to the next one. Tell you how we help a little bit. We on the right at the top, there's a picture of probably the most interesting thing that I think we've ever shipped, which was a bulldozer. And that was before we had the facilities that we have now, when we had a warehouse that didn't have a dock. So my grandfather built pallets, built stairs out of pallets, and drove the bulldozer into that container. And he said he had about a 1/4 inch clearing on it on both sides. I wish I could have been there for that one. But like I said, anything that we can ship, and that picture right there, that's actually there's a story behind that picture. All those little orange crates are all personal supplies. And then he got contacted by a church and said, "Hey, we have about 4 containers worth of disaster relief supplies." And where he was just hit by like a hurricane or a typhoon or something like that. And Brother Glenn asked my grandpa. He said, "Hey, I got all this supplies. Do you think we can ship it?" And Papa, that's what we call him. Papa said, "If you can get it to us, we'll ship it." So it went from 1 container to 5 containers, from $5,000 to $25,000, and we had the $5,000, and then the Lord gave us the extra 20. Church sent us a check for $20,000 out of the blue, and so the Lord definitely worked that one out, and we were able to send all those containers and all those disaster relief supplies over there, and it was great. We'll go to the next slide. That's our container. I mean, that's our warehouse where we are. And that's also where our office is, and so that's where I'm at pretty much every day. We'll go to the next one. I'll go over the shipping process a little bit with you. The word out, and we get volunteers. So as I said earlier, when we need volunteers, we've always had them, and definitely when you're loading a 40-foot container, you're going to need some volunteers. We have 2 hours to do it. After that, they start adding extra charges, and so we start loading the container, and that's what you see here. That's a couple of containers we loaded, and if you can see in the pictures, they're pretty slam packed. Sometimes we get a couple guys. We load. You'll go to the next slide and you'll see it just simply going to wherever it's going to go, the port in America. It's through there, New Orleans, we'll send out of California, New York, Florida, anywhere. And on the next slide, it's simply just making its trek to wherever it's going by sea, by unloading the containers and all its supplies. On that top right, that was a container we sent to Scotland for Brother Alvin Dickerson. He's passed now, but we shipped a lot to him over the years. And that bottom left, that is some literature that we sent to the Philippines. We send a lot of containers to the Philippines, and I don't know if you can tell, but they're cheesing real big in that picture. They always we send a lot to the Philippines, and I think they really enjoy it. We'll go to the next slide, and you'll see just some of the stuff So like I said, anything we can put in a container legally, we'll ship it. And then these next 3 slides, I'll just talk over them, or you can scroll through them. These are just some people that for a shipment and get it to us. A lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes people will just order stuff online and ship it straight to us, and that's great. That cuts out the driving if you're like 6 hours away and stuff, and just if you felt led to participate to any degree, all we ask is that you do what the Lord is calling you to do. He's taking care of us in all the ways that we've needed to be taken care of. We normally don't go out and get supplies. That's one thing that we don't do a whole lot of, because our funds are mainly dedicated to the shipping costs. And most of the supplies that we get are already owned by the missionary. They just need help getting it over there, or some items donated. So yeah, you can always contact us for more details. I have some business cards and prayer cards out there on our booth, and you can find us on Facebook. We got our website. So yeah, if you got any more questions, you can always contact us. We'll go to the next one, and you can become a volunteer. Supporter, but above all else, we ask that you pray, because we know and believe in the power of prayer, and so that's the most important thing. We'll go to the next slide, and you'll see some general mission. And those are really good to do, because a lot of churches want to get involved, and that's a fairly simple thing to do. But those are always really good for us to have, because seriously, every time we have a container, we put them in there. So we never have any on hand, because we're always shipping them out when we got them. So that'll be good. And of course, things like church furnishings, like pulpits, things like that, lecterns, Bibles, hymnals. As long as you can read the Bible. The spine can be taped up with duct tape. It doesn't matter. A lot of places that we ship to, they don't have anything, so they'll take anything. So as long as you can read the Bible or the hymnal, we'll take it for sure. We don't do pews. Well, we do when we don't do pews. We do pews when we have a specific request for pews, because we can't. Currently, our facilities are really just not big enough to just house pews and sit on them for a while, because we'll have other shipments that need to be made, and we'll need that space, that floor space. But we have shipped pews plenty of times, and I'm sure we'll do it again. But it's really on a request basis. And also, how we started was shipping used literature. And we've gone away from that for several reasons. What we used to do is we'd get all the used literature from churches, and we'd go through it all, put all the age groups together, put all the quarterlies together, box it up, and then we'd put it in mail bags and ship it over there. Well, as I'm sure you know, postage is just ridiculous now. And so we really don't do mail bags anymore. We really do just, crates and containers. But also, a lot of the used literature that we would get was unusable. There'd be pages ripped out and marked on and stuff like that, and we just can't really send that to people who are trying to learn when they can't read it. So, and we also get all of the press overruns from the Sunday school committee in Texarkana. So all the stuff that they print that they don't sell or send out or anything, we get it all. And so we have literally pallets upon pallets of untouched, brand new literature that's ready to go. So these are just some general things that we'll always take for missionaries. And on our website, this list is on there under the shipments tab, I believe. And if you scroll down, you'll see specific needs. If we ever have specific needs, we'll put that on the website and on our Facebook. And actually right now we have specific requests for chairs, folding or stacking chairs. We have 2 shipments to the Philippines that we'd like to make real soon, and both of them want chairs, and we only have about 300, and they're asking for like 500 a piece. They're asking for as many as they can get, and so we'll send all the way that we got to one of them, and hopefully God will send us more. You know, that's all up to Him. We rely on Him a lot. You know, a lot of things are out of our hands. And I think if we go to the next one, that's it. If you have any questions, I'll be at the booth afterwards. I'll do my best to answer them. And that's just sort of what we do. You know, I felt a calling to the Lord's I've always felt a burden for missionaries when I was a kid. And when I was living in Magnolia, God called me to this ministry specifically. I'll tell you a little bit how that happened, and then I'll go into my devotion. So I went to school, I graduated, and I was working a job that paid rent, paid the bills. It was a place called Mega Sack where they sold, you know, really big sacks that hold like 1,500 pounds of whatever you want to put in it, feed or whatever. And I hated it. It was paying the rent, but that was about it. You know what I mean? My grandpa called me, and he said, hey, Joel, basically he was like, hey, what do you think about coming over here and helping me out? And I was like, you know what, that's a good idea. Because I had been wanting a job where I could serve God, focus on Christ, and dive more into the scriptures. And I said, you know what, that's a good idea. So, but let me pray on it. I don't want to be too hasty. Let me pray on it. So I took a week to pray on it, and that week went up. And I said, you know what, let me get another week of praying on it. See how I feel then. So that week went up. And I was like, you know what? One more week of prayer, and I think I'll get it. And so that week went up. And for some reason, I thought that if I left where I was, where I was like I said in Magnolia, I was serving in the church there at Calvary there. I was serving at the college ministry. I was playing drums in the NBSF band. And I was liking what I was doing. I was serving God. And I thought for some reason that if I were to leave Magnolia, that I would miss opportunities to serve God. But that doesn't make any sense, because God has called me to a specific ministry. I'm missing the best opportunity to serve God, which is the way that He wants me to do it. So I came to my senses, and then I've been here. And after I got there, I realized God was prepping me the whole time, because the place I worked at in Megasac, I was working in a warehouse environment. I was loading, unloading trucks, containers, running a forklift, things like that. So God was prepping me for this, and I didn't even know it. But yeah, that's what we do. I'm going to go into the devotion now. Like I said, I'm not a huge public speaker. It may be pretty quick, but if you'll turn with me to 3 John. Few verses. 3 John is not a very long book anyway. It's one chapter. It's 14 verses. And it is a letter written by John to a man named Gaius. In the first few verses, you'll see that, you know, John has heard about what Gaius is doing. He's heard of Gaius' good report. And he's like, good on you. And Gaius is like, you know, helping these traveling preachers, effectively missionaries, you know, welcoming into his home, showing them hospitality and stuff like that. And John hears about this, and he says, good job. But the verses I want to look at, verse number 7 and verse number 8 of 3 John. It says, because, in verse 7, because that for his name's sake they went forth taking nothing of the Gentiles, we therefore ought to receive such that we might be fellow helpers to the truth. Okay, so let's look at verse 8, and it says, we therefore ought to receive such that we might be fellow helpers to the truth. Well, when I read that, I'm thinking, who's the we, right? Who's the we that's supposed to, be fellow helpers to the truth. Well, we can logically deduce that that's not going to be the world, right? While the world has no motive to help further the kingdom of God, to be fellow helpers to the truth at all, right? So we can logically deduce that that's not the world's job to do that. But he tells us that in verse 7. He says, because that for his name's sake they went forth taking nothing of the Gentiles. So they went out doing the work, and they didn't take anything from the Gentiles. They didn't take things from the world for help. And so we go back to that we, and we say, okay, well, that we is not the world, so that leaves the church, right? It's the church's job to do that. Well, let's keep reading a little bit, and I'll show you something. Verse 9, it says, I wrote unto the church, but Diotrephes, who loveth to have the preeminence among them, receiveth us not. Wherefore, if I come, I will remember his deeds, which he doeth, prating against us with malicious words, and not content therewith. Neither doth he himself receive the brethren, and forbiddeth them that would, and casteth them out of the church. So in verse 9 and verse 10, they introduce a guy named Diotrephes, who likes to have the preeminence among them. He likes to be superior to everyone else in the church. And he doesn't want to do what Gaius is doing. He doesn't want to help these people out, and he forbids the people that would. And this says, kicks them out of the church. So we have this figure in the church who has apparently some form of authority, but he doesn't like that people are being fellow helpers to the truth, which is what we're all called to do, right? And he kicks people out of the church that wants to do that, which to me is just insane. But, so we go back to that we in verse 8, right? And we say, okay, that we is not the world, and apparently it's not everyone in the church, right? So if we do a little subtraction, that leaves me, right? That leaves that responsibility to me. I can't rely on brother so-and-so, sister so-and-so in the church to do it, to fulfill a need that I see that I can fulfill in the church or in anything. So I better jump on that, and I better do that. And I think that's very applicable thing, and within the church and within our lives. There's no job too small for the Lord. Absolutely not. A lot of people think like Brother Mike said a while ago. It's not, missionary work isn't all just going to the field. It's not always going out of the country. It's not always going out of your hometown. It's shipping stuff. It's praying for them. There's a lot of things that can go into serving the Lord, and all you have to do is just be open and listening to God as He calls you. So that's really all I got. As I said, it's going to be short, but I thank you again for allowing me to come here and mumble and stutter in your pulpit for 10, 15 minutes. It's good to share the work, and it's good to be invited by a church. So I'm turning it back over to y'all. Thank you.